Is this happening to you? Then you're in the right place for video game training. In this video, I'll show you how to defeat Radahn solo without using any summons at all, and you can even completely skip phase 2 if you want to. If you want to be an absolute legend and support the channel, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. My name is Azzavhar or Azza, now let's get into the video. There's quite a few tactics and strategies that I'll show you in this video, so you can choose to use all of these if you want to, or you can just cherry pick the ones that work for you. We'll mostly be using Scarlet Rot and Poison to get this strategy to work, but I'll show you a bunch of different strategies and tactics, then you can choose the ones that work for you. So there is a little bit of preparation required. On that basis, I'll add YouTube chapters to this video. I'll just show you where this fight is located on the map. You'll have to head to Redmane Castle, and the closest site of grace is this chamber outside the plaza. You'll have to head inside and then talk to an NPC to start the Radahn fight. I'll just show you the setup that we're working with for this fight, and it's quite specific, so here we go. We've got 2 keen scimitars plus 17, although we won't really be fighting Radahn up close and personal, so don't worry too much about these melee weapons. We'll be using the Finger Sacred Seal, which you can buy from the Merchant Two-Finger Maiden at the Round Table. And this Sacred Seal requires 4 Strength and 10 Faith to use. And along with that Sacred Seal, we'll be using an incantation which is called Rotten Breath. This requires 15 Faith and 12 Arcane to use. And you get this Rotten Breath incantation from the Cathedral of Dragon Communion located at South Caelid. And to buy Rotten Breath, you'll have to approach this thing here and press Ritual of Dragon Communion, and it will also cost 1 Dragon Heart. You can get a Dragon Heart by killing a dragon. We'll also be using a Serpent Bow plus 6, and we'll be using Serpent Arrows along with the Serpent Bow. You get the Serpent Bow in a cave called Abandoned Cave. I do have a video on how to complete that cave. I'll link that in the pop-up cards. To use the Serpent Bow, you'll need 8 Strength, 15 Dexterity, and 11 Arcane. So the Serpent Bow, the Finger Seal, and the Rotten Breath all work together quite well because the stats that are required for all 3 of them are quite similar. And the Serpent Arrows cannot be crafted. You have to purchase them specifically from a merchant. That merchant is located here. If you don't have the Serpent Bow and the Serpent Arrows, that's absolutely fine. You can choose to use a different bow, and you could choose to trade out the Serpent Arrows for Poison Arrows instead, although the Poison Arrows don't have as much of the poison buildup as the Serpent Arrows do. We do also have some Rot Arrows equipped, which cause Scarlet Rot buildup. We might even use this Beast Crest shield, although it's not very often that we would use this. I just wanted to show you the shield that we are rocking. We are using an Ash of War on this shield called Barricade Shield, and what that does is temporarily boost our block. You can get the Barricade Shield Ash of War by defeating a boss called Knight's Cavalry. It's the one that spawns quite close to this Castle Morn Rampart site of grace. The boss will be on this path, and it only spawns at nighttime. We'll only really use the shield to block one specific attack, so any good shield should be fine. In terms of talismans, I've got Arsenal Charm plus 1, which greatly raises our maximum equipment load. The reason that I'm using that is because we are wielding quite a lot of different equipment. We've got the Crucible armor set on, we've got 2 swords, a shield, a bow, and a Sacred Seal. So by using this, it means we can equip quite a lot of different stuff, and we can also have really decent armor on at the same time. In case you wanted to get your hands on and use the Arsenal Charm plus 1, I'll just show you on the map where it's located. It's inside this Altus tunnel. We've got the Arrow's Reach Talisman, which increases our bow's range. You'll find the Arrow's Reach Talisman here on the map. It's kind of like on a little bridge thing in a chest. You have to go up the slope from the gate front site of grace and then backtrack on yourself a little bit to find this bridge. And we also have the Lance Talisman, which increases our attacks whilst on horseback, and we will mostly be on horseback for this fight. This also applies to the arrows that we shoot, and we'll be shooting arrows from horseback. You'll find the Lance Talisman here, it's on a body. If you wanted to, you could also use the Arrow's Sting Talisman, which raises the attack power of arrows and bolts. And you'll find the Arrow's Sting Talisman up a tower. It's very close to the impassable Great Bridge site of grace. You still with me? I know this is quite a lot of preparation work, but believe me, it's worth it. I've also kind of split the flasks down the middle, so we've got 7 of the healing flasks, and we've got 6 of the FP flasks. That's because we'll be using the dragon's rotten breath, and that costs FP to use, so that's why we bring these FP flasks along. We might pop some pickled turtle neck for increased stamina recovery speed. We're bringing along some poison pots because we might throw some poison pots, and we've also got a bunch of poison bone darts that we can throw as well. What I did was actually respec my build a little bit to allow me to use all this equipment and incantations. You can reassign your character's stats using Renala's rebirth. You will of course have to defeat Renala first to unlock this option in the game. I do have a boss fight guide for Renala if you're interested. I'll link that in the pop-up cards now. You then have to select the rebirth option, and it will cost you 1 larval tier to do a rebirth. This is where Renala is located on the map at the Raya Lucaria Academy. This is a larval tier which you'll need to do a rebirth and then respec your build. What I would recommend is probably having at least 2 larval tiers, so if you're going to respec your build specifically just to fight Radahn, and then you're not happy with it after that, you'll need another larval tier to then respec your build back into whatever it was before. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about respecing your build a little bit to allow you to use the Rotten Breath incantation. Okay, so with all that being said, let's jump into the fight. First of all, run straight forward towards these weapons in the sand. The weapons in the sand will tank 1 of the hits, and then they'll be destroyed. Keep on running forward. We roll through the second one. Kind of head towards the right a little bit here. When he does the attack like that, where he rains down arrows from the sky, you want to be mounting up on Torrent. Still heading towards the right a little bit, like this. Kind of angling our camera so we can see what he's up to. At this point, the Dune will kind of like tank the hits of the arrows that he shoots towards us. You still got to be careful of the raining down arrows that follow you around, so just watch out for those. And then we'll use the Dragon Rot Breath. So what we'll do is send him into melee mode by getting quite close. And we need to use this Rotten Breath after he's done a combo. It's usually the safest place to do it. So he's going to go into a combo now. 1, 2, 1, 2, and then breath roughly around there. Hold down RB and then back up. He's going to go back into another combo. Just keep on backing up. It's usually best to apply the Rotten Breath after that combo that we did before, not the other ones, so not so much that attack. Just kind of stay in a medium distance. 1, 2, 1, 2, head towards, and Rotten Breath roughly around there. Use the blue flask. He's going to buff his weapons now. You can get a little bit of Rotten Breath in there, but you've got to be careful. So at this point, the Scarlet Rot is ticking down his health quite fast. Watch out for these gravity orbs. Just kind of dodge towards the left or right while it's locked on to avoid those. It's usually about 3 seconds on the timing of your dodge with Torrent. So Torrent has a few invincibility frames, so 1, 2, 3, roughly around there. So we want to be pulling him towards the castle at this point, and getting quite close to the water, because he's about to transition into phase 2 very, very soon. You can jump over that shockwave attack there. So there he goes, he's jumped up into the sky. So what we need to do is be at the edge, at the very edge of the water. Hold up your shield. And there we go. That's Radahn. Just a bit of info with the water's edge. Basically, you want to be as close as humanly possible to this edge as you can be without actually falling off. You could ideally do with popping up your shield, and if you have it, you could also use Barricade Shield for a little bit of extra defense. Obviously, try and make sure your health is topped up, because you will be tanking that hit and it will do a fair amount of damage, so keep that in mind. Okay, so next I'll show you the Serpent Bow, or the bow and arrow approach, whatever bow you might have equipped. We'll use the serpent arrows first of all, which are the poison ones. It usually takes about 3 or 4 of these serpent arrows to actually apply the poison to him. So we'll keep on popping those, keeping a decent distance so we don't get caught in his crazy attacks. Poison is now applied to him. You can obviously tell with the green aura and his health is ticking down. So that is that. You could also choose to use poison pots and stuff as well. So if you had some poison pots or some poison bone darts, technically speaking, you could get like a medium sort of distance and throw a few pots and stuff like that, or some bone darts. Be careful of him getting a bit too close to you. As long as your character is kind of facing either directly towards him or at least kind of like towards the side, then the stuff that you throw should be fine. But just be careful that you're not facing like the complete opposite direction, otherwise it won't work. So you could throw those bits and bobs like so, the poison darts and the poison pots and stuff. We also have rot arrows. So if we go back to the bow, once again face kind of like sideways or towards him. We could also apply Scarlet Rot with the arrows. So he's buffed his weapons. The Scarlet Rot aura, the red aura, usually overrides the green aura of the poison. Now that he's buffed his weapons, just be careful of that particular combo there. You have to jump over the last attack, that sort of wave that he does. This one, once again, just kind of dash towards your sides. The red aura, I believe he's got the red aura on him, if I can see correctly. Yep, so now he's got poison and he's got Scarlet Rot both applied at the same time. So you could just use that as a strategy, just have the Scarlet Rot and the poison from the arrows, and both of those will be ticking his health down. Watch out for that shockwave once again. There he goes. And this time we'll just avoid the attack, so as long as you're kind of like moving and you're not stood still, then you should be fine to avoid the meteorite strike like that. Once again, keep an eye on his health bar. It's ticking down. Don't worry too much about these. When he kind of summons these, they stay around for a long time before he actually shoots them, and you'll see the animation before they do come towards you. That particular one, just go to your sides like we did there with those smaller gravity balls. Just keep on shooting the poison arrows and the Scarlet Rot arrows. If you do fall off, that's fine. Just back up and jump back on to torrent when you can do. Here comes the attack there. You can just sort of like dodge to the sides. Watch out for the shockwave on that one, jump over it. And you can just keep sort of like luring him around this arena. Jump over the shockwave. And as you can see, his health is just ticking down. The poison and the Scarlet Rot is just doing its thing. Watch out for this one. You need to kind of like dodge to the side and then dodge to the side again to avoid that one. It's a bit spicy. Like I mentioned before, Torrent does have a few iframes or invincibility frames, so you kind of like dodge to the sides like so. We can see that poison is on, so we want Scarlet Rot on as well. Ideally you want both of those things on at the same time. So we'll pop the Rot arrows. To be fair, the poison's pretty much just going to take him out at this point, I think. Watch out for the shockwave. And there we go, the poison has done the job. So that's one option. Combination of poison arrows and Rot arrows can do the job. And that is the Radahn fight. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and it helped you out in some way. If it did, remember to like, subscribe and drop a comment. You can check out all the other content that I make at Azzavhar.com.